And welcome back to Stationeers. We're doing a brutal Mimas start. I'm 54 Bear, the complete idiot, and I have been proving that to myself over and over again. Right, I finally caved and got a large battery, or the small station battery, and this thing, it's chewing up the gas supply I have. It's hardly putting anything in there. I desperately need the Stirling engine, but as long as I can keep providing volatiles and oxide, I can make more fuel and I can eke by. It's really hanging on by fingernails rather than actually surviving, but we are doing that. Having said that, I'm down to my last 2 or 3 cereal bars. The water is kind of okay. I have modified it to put in a liquid tank. I'm just going to use that to set up the initial farming, which is the very next thing we need to do. Which brings us to this thing. I'm pulling out some CO2. I don't want too much because this stuff is super hot. And when I put it in here, it will hopefully warm up the room. So right now we have 8% CO2, but we're only at 4.5 degrees. When I add this lot in here, let's put that down, that's at 750 degrees. This will warm up in a hurry. Well, that got us to 11 degrees. So we'll do it again. I will vent the last of this. Or did I? Yeah, I must have clicked it twice. Yeah, I didn't put any pressure regulator on here. I probably should have done. But, yeah. I mean, this holds a fair amount. So, I mean, right now is at 2.6. I can empty this lot in there and probably get another 2 megapascals without running the thing. Right, so that's put us at 18 degrees. I don't think this room is going to cool down that much. So, it's still open, that's why. Get that fully drained. Right, I'm not going to add any more, but I shall leave it in there, and that gives me 2 megapascals. It will slowly cool down out here, but that's okay. Power wise, yeah, I mean, this thing is super weedy, but it is working. Having said that, we have very little fuel in here. So yeah, we do have another full one ready to go. Once that tank there is fully empty, then I will take the hydrogen, or the volatiles I should say, and the oxygen I do have, run it through the mixer, and that'll give me some more. I haven't connected this final section of pipe here because I don't want to contaminate the good fuel with the one that's a little bit off. I really don't think it makes that much difference on this thing, but if we get into a gas fuel generator, which I may do, just to give us an initial burst of lots of power, then having the good fuel mix is an option, or is more important. I did do some smelting. I made the mid-tier alloys in order to get the mods for the printers. I said I was going to record it. I did record it, but I'm not uploading it because it was exceedingly boring and dull, except for maybe this. All right, lob the coal in. Whoa! Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. There's no cause for alarm. Oh dear, oh dear. Did I mention I'm a complete idiot? I may have mentioned that. And I know the comment section is going to be full of people saying, I was screaming at the screen, telling you. Yes. There's one good reason why you want your emergency vents piped up somewhere where they won't burn your face off. Oh, there we go. No lasting harm done. And I liked my moustache, but it will grow back. Yes, so that happened. I have redesigned this pipe here. It goes inside. In fact, I can show you because the furnace has nothing in it, so I don't have to worry about anything cooling down. Maybe it'll be better from this side. So the output pipe just goes into that T-section. T-section has a couple of volume pumps. They both point in the same direction, but one's going into the T-section, one's coming out. Sorry, it's not a T-section, it's a four-way corner or a four-way junction. And you can see this one is to evacuate the furnace, goes through the yellow pipe into the tank, and it can be recirculated. This I added just now as a quick way of getting some warm CO2. When I did the initial filling of this space, it was just by melting oxide, so the temperature was just above freezing. So adding a bunch of warm CO2 was a quick way of getting it up to temperature, which is kind of important because, as I said, we have 3 cereal bars left, and I really need to get busy growing, which is why I printed up some additional things. It's going to be very, very basic, but I am going to need a grow light and a daylight sensor in order to have the grow light automated. That I do not want to leave to my memory. So, grow light, it needs copper, steel and electrum. Copper and electrum, easy. I do have a bunch of steel. I don't think it's in here. Yeah, I think the Tier 2 toolmaker has a bug. It won't show you the contents unless you turn it on, whereas the other ones do, like so. So yeah, I have some steel in there. Okay, so that'll get me 1 grow light. Also going to need a bunch more cable. Right, the sensor, that can go pretty much anywhere. I will put it there, because I know I'll start the gardening down probably along this bit here. Doesn't really matter. There is so little sunlight that unless you're growing mushrooms, it's not an issue. With mushrooms, they really need darkness all the time. Right, cable. I will need some coil. as well print all of that. I do have enough copper. Get my round ingots out of the way so they don't roll away. And I do have a bunch of coal. So theoretically I could build the solid generator and have that. It's an option, but I really don't want to do it. It's just one of those things where, you know, they gave us this and it is exceedingly weedy, but I get a perverse pleasure in figuring out ways of actually getting it to work. I mean, here we are, we're at day 27. I'm kind of surprised that I'm still using it, to be honest. I mean, it generates about 600 watts. At least that's with the fuel I have at the moment. It's possible it might generate a little bit more with better quality fuel or colder fuel. I know back in the day, it was kind of bugged. If you put super cold nitrous oxide fuel in it, it would generate megawatts or something stupid. I never did that myself. Frankly, I never needed to. I was always able to generate as much power as I needed through solars and whatever else. That was until I came here. And yeah, for all intents and purposes, this may as well be an underground world. Right, I should really keep an eye on this as well, see how this is looking. Right, well, we're generating more steam than this can actually extract. And the temperature in here is quite toasty at the moment, so I might add some more pipes and radiators to that. Not certain. I mean, I could just turn it off and it will cool down, but yeah, well, it's good that we've got 10 litres. Now, I could theoretically put the hot water in here, but if I do that, my fear is that the crops won't grow, because I believe they require the water temperature to be at 50 Celsius or below. It's something of that nature. Certainly 100-degree temperature, I don't think it would endure. Now, I do need iron for some trays. Right, hydroponic trays, so I could do 10 of them, but I only have 3 seeds. Copper, steel and nickel. That's actually kind of expensive for the portable hydroponics. So I was going to do the portable, but I think I'll just go with trays. And I'll just do half a dozen, I think, to begin with. Right. So I think that's everything I need, except I'm going to need to control it. Now, to control it, you can use, I mean, obviously it's going to be based on the sensor. You want to take the vertical angle, subtract that from 90, and then compare it to a value typically around about 100, and then use that to turn it on. So that's going to require a few I/O chips. I'm going to see if I can do IC code, because it's kind of expensive in materials, but it does reduce the amount of power that's needed. So it needs solder.
Power critical.
Okay, let's get that printing. Just one of them. Yeah, of course, one of the reasons this is not hasn't actually gone above 10% yet is because I'm always charging batteries from here. So this thing is running pretty much full time trying to keep this thing supplied. The advantage is I don't have to worry about turning this off and wasting gas because all of the stuff gets used. Right, I'll need housing, copper. Fortunately, I have lots. I also printed myself the big mining drill because I know I'm going to have to do a whole bunch more manual mining, and yeah, even though it chews through the battery quite fast, it speeds up the mining operation no end. Now the other thing I'm going to need is either a computer or a laptop. What does the laptop need? Oh, that only needs a bit more gold, so you know what, I'm going to do that. The advantage of the laptop is there is a bug in it where it does not use any power. As long as it's got a battery in it, it's fine. That battery will stay, you put a fully charged battery in there, it'll always be 100%. Sometime the devs are going to fix it, I'm sure. Or maybe they won't, I don't know. I mean, there's an option when you're using a computer or a laptop, at least with the IC motherboard, you can pause the game. And when the game's paused, it doesn't use any, or nothing uses any electricity. Right, we want the motherboard. Oh, they don't order them in the right way. Motherboard IC editor. There we go. So I can do the programming with this, and oh, damn it. Awkward hitboxes on these things. They can go in there. And I'll put a fully charged battery in it, so that's good to go. Did I put the chip in there? Yes, I did. Okay, so we should be good. I'm not going to add any more. Temperature in there should be good enough to grow the stuff. I will need the seeds though. I don't know if I'm brave enough to put all three in at the same time. Probably not. And at some point I will need to make a table and a microwave. Right, so actually let's get the grow light in first. Oh, I'm going to need to get power in here as well. Right, I believe this point here is the center, and it goes in roughly a radius of 3 from that. So that back one might not actually be in the right zone, so I will change that around a little, and I just realized I'm going to need more pipe. Well, I'm okay to begin with, so I'll put that there. And it'd help if that was facing the right way. Like that. And I left the water bottle out there. Typical. Alright, well let's see how much wire I'm gonna need. Don't think I'll need anything else connected. Okay, now I can repurpose the APC from there, which might not be a bad idea, so I should give some thought as to how I'm going to want to run the power. I could run the cable like through the door here. It's one of the reasons why you go with these small doors, is you can run cable around the edges and the top. You can't do it through the bottom because obviously that's where the connectors are. But the bottom corner you can. So I could get power into the room quite easily from there. That'll probably be okay as long as I put a larger battery in there. But I'm also going to want to have the circuitry. I mean, that could just go on the floor. Yeah. So yeah, run it along the wall, I think. Okay, so that should power the lights. Okay, so just need water. Get the things planted, and whilst that is working, I will work on the logic. I will swap that out there. I'll give it a big battery because it's kind of important that this this works. Right. So let's make certain that we don't have any more usable water. Now I'll turn this off and see how quickly this cools down. Actually, we have Stationepedia, and would it be under organics and food? Maybe. Thought there was a section on farming. Yes. Growing food. And I've lost my mouse. Typical. Try it again. There we go. Well, it doesn't mention water temperature, but I'm fairly certain putting in 100-degree water is probably a bad idea. No, I don't think it's going to cool down fast enough. Alright, turn that back on. So 4 litres, that'll be enough for quite a while, especially as we don't have a very large growth thing. Oh, why does that... Oh, crap. I screwed up. Okay, well, the temperature in here is 18. I think I can fix it. I just need to make a few bits and bobs.
Hydration critical.
Right, I'll need some more pipe anyway, so... give me 4 of those. And do I have pipe radiators left? Yeah, that's a gas one. I know what, just print another one. Pipe radiator liquid. Steel. Gonna have to make some more steel or I'll split up what I have. Donut. That's a gas utility, but that's not much use anyway. So how did I screw up here? That wasn't running. Obviously I wasn't paying attention when I was taking care of all that stuff. Right, so we'll get the other ones fed as well. But first, we'll do that and see if that cools it down. Oh, it will cool it down, but how fast? It'll also warm the room up a little bit, but that's okay. I can get a cooling system done reasonably quickly just with an active vents and pipes and some radiators. This doesn't generate, or this room will not generate significant amounts of heat. So it's got it down to 90. I want it down to 50 before I plant anything though. Right. Hopefully that won't slow down its the cooling down.
Caution.
Okay. Oh, we have one left. Damn. Right. I should have got to this sooner, I think, because this is going to take some time. And I really don't want to risk any of the seeds at this point. Okay. Logicking. Get the chip. Put that in there. This can live just here, I guess. Nothing fancy. Okay. Actually, this I'll keep there so I can grab it through the walls if needs be. $70 and $30, yeah. Ugh. Right. So let's pause that. Get the Stationepedia open. I want the grow light. Oh, you know what? I'll just do it with pins. It'll be easier. Okay, so alias sensor D0 alias yeah, let's do capitals. Grow light D1. Okay, so load into R0 from the sensor. We want the vertical. And subtract into R0. 100 minus R0. Set greater than. Actually, no, that's wrong. That's 90. Right, so that gives me the angle that it is. So greater than R0, R0, 100. And then we want to set the grow light on based on R0. Okay, so I believe that should be everything. We'll confirm that. Export. Put it in there. Turn it on, turn it off. So, daylight sensor, grow light. Okay. So the sensor is reading vertical is 115, so yeah, it should be off. So I think we're okay. If not, I'll leave that in here because I'm not doing any other IC programming right now. And this thing only uses, well, about half the power that would be required if you went with regular chips. Now, the other thing we need to worry about is the temperature. So it's down to 57. Almost 33 in here. So I will need to get a rudimentary calling thing going as well. Close and lock. Oops. Might as well vent this as well. Okay, so give me an active vent, copper. And yes, I put my screwdriver there. That was a bad move. Oh, no. I only wanted one. A loader pipe. Can be the cheap stuff. Really could do with some stackers here because the clearing up the mess of these things, chucking stuff out. And we're out again. I don't really know how many I'm going to need. How many radiators do I have? 2. We'll need a couple more, I think. Or should I just go with a medium? Depends. If I'm going to use logic to control it, then yes, but for right now, I think we'll just go with the cheaper alternative. We'll do a couple more of these.
Power low.
Okay. And how much oxide do I have? A little. Yeah, I mean that could also be used to cool the room down, certainly be a little bit faster, but a very temporary solution. I'll close that off for the moment. Okay, so active vent first. Right, it's just going to be a temporary thing, so I may as well put it up on the ceiling. In fact, there's probably the best place for it because I've already got power there. Five-way. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, so that'll give me 4 radiators there. I want to go up a few, so I think that's okay. Although I am going to need more radiators. Those will do for now. Alright, what do we have pressure-wise in there? 12 megapascals, that's probably a little bit more than I wanted, but it'll do. Okay, let's grab the pipe. Oh. Yeah, there's not going to be a way of turning that on and off in that environment. So... yeah, because I want a switch between, or some way of turning it off between the radiators on the inside and the radiators on the outside. And right now, it's all going through that way. So unless the switch was on the outside, this is not a good plan. So something needs to change. Okay. Think. Right, well, I don't need that anymore. I think that's going to be enough gas in our sealed system. So that will just be a regular thing like that. Where's my power? Yeah, I could do with well, I'm going to need some more cables, so for the moment I'll put in a manual valve here and some radiators on the outside. A little convoluted, but it will work. Because unlike the Stirling room, I can't afford for this thing to get... oh, actually I may have one. I do. Good. Alright, let's just do some more pipes. Actually, radiators first. Pipe radiators. Oh, I can do 2. Needs gold. I'll do a couple more. Now, yeah, I'll just do it this way, I think. Now, I shouldn't need to worry about liquid vents, because it will, I don't think it will get cold enough for things to liquidize. So, one there, one there, okay. One there, one there, one there. Now, may add some more, but okay. So internal temperature here is 36. Turn this on and see how long it takes to cool down. Actually, I should check the internal pressures as well. Yeah, 4 megapascals is about right. Oh, the CO2 might. Okay, well this is a sealed system, so if I put a liquid drain on the outside part of it, actually, yeah, what I need is an extra length of pipe here and a liquid drain facing down, so any CO2 that does condense will basically just be ejected back into the room. And with this cooling system being a sealed system, it should be okay. So it is lowering the temperature slowly, which is good. Didn't want it to be too fast. All right, our temperature here is down to 40, well, just under 45. Still think that might be a little bit warm, so I'm going to try and get this down to 30. I think we have enough time. And I want to make certain that the grow light thing is working as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a while before the CO2 does condense. I mean, I could always just vent it to the outside, but yeah, it's going to be needed in here. And I don't have mushrooms to replenish the CO2 supply, so the only source of CO2 right now is my breathing gases, or the the waste gases, or what comes out of that CO2 thing, atmospherics unit connected to the furnace. Actually, the sun is up. The grow light should be on. Why is it not on? It has power. Yeah. What's the angle? Vertical. Well, it should be on. Did I do it? Did I do the logic the wrong way round? I bet I did. Actually, whilst I have this in my hand, let me just... Should that be less than? I think it should be. Yeah. Alright, well I'll turn that off for the moment and turn that off. Save a bit of power. Right, take my active vent back. I'm just clicking all kinds of wrong things today. Alright, so 42, 22 in the room, so that's kind of good, so I shall turn that off. So the temperature in this section of the pipe should equalize with the temperature in the room, and it will no longer do any cooling unless it radiates something to the outside through it being contacted on the wall. I don't know whether it still does that. I know it used to, but I think that has been fixed. Right, well, the rate of cooling is slowed down. I might risk it. And as this doesn't consume any power, you can leave it open. Right. Yeah, not going to risk planting anything just yet. Not with only 3 seeds to play with. Okay, so that's filling, so that's good. I wonder if I can get that out of here. I should have put it closer to the wall. Yeah, I'm also thinking I'm going to redesign this. This nitrogen extractor, this was used to purify the oxide that goes into the white crusher. And what it's doing is the way I'm using it at the moment is I crush the oxide. It stores it all in this white pipe network, everything short of the pressure regulator. But of course it has nitrogen in it, so I have to filter the nitrogen out, store it in this little black thing, and until the nitrogen is out I can't pump it. So I think I'm going to redesign it so that instead of filtering out the nitrogen, it's going to filter the oxygen, and then the oxygen can be pumped directly where it's needed. I think it's going to use more in the way of filters, but filters are relatively cheap, so it's not so much of an issue. So yeah, I think I am going to rework that, but I need to do it in a way that I preserve all the oxygen that I have. It might be easier, instead of mucking around with the way the piping is currently set up, it may be better just to have it going into a portable tank or even a small insulated. Not convinced on that. It needs to be done, but it's not super urgent. Although we are out of fuel now in there, so what we have in this is all we have until I fire up the mixer. So why don't I get that done? And it won't work until I connect the last bit of pipe. There we go. Now that should be making some perfect fuel. Yep, it is.
Power critical.
Yes, power is always critical. And this thing hasn't been above like 10 or 11% since I put it in there. But it is working. Right, I'm going to turn this off for the moment. Although, actually, it doesn't matter because it's a one-way thing, so it will just make the fuel better and better. All right. So we are almost there for our farming. We have the basics in place. It's just a question of waiting for that water to cool down.
Air tank low.
The only thing I can think of is that I got momentarily distracted and I turned the water pump on before I had pulled out the water. Before I'd pulled the water out. So we got 16 litres in there, that's good. I should... I thought I turned that off. Well, temperature's slowly going up, but that's okay. I should probably print up some more pipe sections and radiators so that I can slap them on if needs be. I thought I had some sitting around. So how are we doing in this part? So 50 moles, but that's at 300 degrees, so considerably cooler than this.
Power low.
Anyway, oh crap, why did that break? Liquids or yeah. I said I was going to do it, and I didn't do it. And now I have no cooling gas. So I have to do it all again. Son of a diddly. And other rude words. Squirrel syndrome. It's a real thing. And of course I lost a radiator out of that. Okay, let's get the liquid drain. Right, pipe I don't need any more. Yeah. Right, let's get the liquid drain installed before anything else. Okay, so actually this is probably still full. Yeah, so as this section, which is connected to the outside radiators, as it cools down,
Power critical.
if the CO2 liquidizes, then it should come out through here back into the room. And I ran out of power in my tablet. And I don't have a spare. Well, isn't that a problem? Well, I have a spare in here. How do I... Yeah. Half the time when I pick the damn thing up, it pulls the battery out when I don't want it to. Right, so temperature in here is 21.4. You can see there's some liquid CO2 in the atmosphere, but that's okay. Get rid of that. So as the CO2 is cooling down, it's condensing, it's coming out of here and into the room. And gradually it will evaporate into CO2 gas. So the one bit of phase mechanics I do understand. So now there's no CO2 in this pipe network. So I could actually take that drain off. It serves no purpose. I don't think the temperature will ever get to the point where the oxygen and the nitrogen will freeze. Right, well, we're a good temperature in here. And I think we're probably good enough to plant. So let's turn this back on. That turns that on. We'll go with a single seed, and it's thriving towards fruiting. Now, with this being a manual thing, I will have to keep my eye on it, or the temperatures in here. Ultimately, I will replace this with a digital valve and put some code in here so that it will open and close the valve as and when the room needs cooling, using the good old Schmidt trigger. So doesn't seem to be complaining about the heat. Now I will need to put a bench in here and a microwave so I can at the very least get baked potatoes, because I don't want to eat raw ones, and we should be good. So we have our one potato growing and I'm so excited. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope you found something useful and of interest. Join me for the next one, why don't you? Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. 54 Bear, out.